Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to another week here at the garage. And this week, as you can see, we're going to be downstairs again because, well, it looks like this outside, and I don't want to be in it, even if I'm in the garage. So with that being said, we're going to do a couple, well, one quick video about two trucks that are the same truck. We're going to do an unboxing of the new Axial scx24 Power Wagon. As you guys can see in the background there is two of them. We're going to do a stock versus lightly modified on my course, show you the difference, show you what comes with the truck in the box. We'll probably grab one of the other 24s and show you the difference in the battery and the electronics, and go from there. So yeah, hopefully it's a good one. Alright, here we are. Cleaned up my table a little bit. I still have a lot of cleaning to do down here, guys. I have not had time to get everything completely set up like I really want it since I got all this done, and it's still a mess. I still need to add some more lighting over here too, so I'm sorry it's a little darker than normal, but here we go. This is what we're going to look at today. This is the Axial scx24 Power Wagon. Now, realistically, this isn't much different than all the rest of the scx24s. Obviously, the body is different. This is the first one to come with super swampers, and I am all for it. I wish someone was selling these not mounted on the wheels, because I would love to have a set of these put on a different set of wheels. As some of you know, when it comes to trail trucks, my absolute favorite tire is a super swamper. They are the tire. They are not perfect at anything, but they are great at everything. At least to me anyway. So yeah, but anyway. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull this out, take a look at the truck itself, and then I have a untouched scx24 Jeep setting over here. We will put them side by side. I'll show you the differences. Realistically, this is probably slightly more comparable to a Gladiator, but I don't have an untouched Gladiator, so sorry guys, we're not going to use that. We're going to use the little Jeep. Let's get this thing open. Well, problem number one, my knife is gone, so we're using a screwdriver. Graciously ripped the tape off the box. So, and I will say, as you guys can already see, I have opened one of these already, but I have not drove one yet, because while I went over and got them, I've not had time to do anything with them. So, and I'm making the time today. So there's the truck. Now, let's see, what comes in here. Now, some of the same similarities as all of the rest of them. In the main packet, there is the Power Wagon manual. Tells you about the truck. There's a connection guide for different battery types. As always, the axial sticker, another little thing of stickers. I'm not sure what this is. We'll have to open it and look at that. And the double A's for your remote, because unlike a lot of other trucks, the scx24s come with everything. They come with remotes for the batteries. They come with a remote for the truck. They come with a remote for the battery in the truck, or not a remote. They come with a charger for the battery in the truck, which we're going to talk about that some, because that is one of the things they changed. And there's a bind plug in here, which there wasn't really bind plugs with any of the rest of them, because I don't think they, or maybe there was bind. here we go. What they're talking about. That's this Power Wagon one too. Oh, well, I can find everyone but the one that I want. Here we go. Here's the one for the Jeep. So the one for the Jeep, I do not see a bind plug with it, but there's the link set that changes it to, I believe, this is the links that they don't use with the Jeep, but they would use with the Deadbolt, I do believe. And there's an extra body post or body clip there, extra set of drive shafts. Now none of that is included with the Power Wagon, but I think that's because at this point, when this came out and they were doing this, they only had 3 trucks at that point. So it makes sense that they included some of the extra parts. Versus this one, they've got like, what, 6 of these now? 7? Something like that? I don't know. So, never that though. Alright. Get this out of here. There's those 2 things. The remote, which is a new feature. And, aha, here we go, an accessory bag. So, I just lied to you and said that they didn't include any of this stuff. And voila, here it is. I don't think it's quite the same though. Yeah, see, this is the roof rack and tonneau and everything for the bed. So if you want to put like the pop-up tent and all that stuff on there. And something you don't see with the other scx24s, shock stiffeners. We'll talk more about that in a second too. So now, I'm sure some of you would like to see me put this stuff on, but I'm not going to because I don't necessarily like it. It adds weight to the top of the body, and I'm not a huge fan of extra weight up high for obvious reasons with a trail truck. And plus, extra weight up high never works good on my course. It tends to make it top heavy, and there's a few spots on my course, top heavy doesn't work. There we go. The truck is free. Here it is. Ooh, that feels like, this does not feel like a Lexan body. I did not notice that. This is a hard body. Nice. Well, I already like it more now. So it's got a really strong Velcro front versus the old one here, Lexan body. Has a body clip, lifts up. As you'll see here, the wheelbase of the Power Wagon is just a touch longer. Hang on guys, I need to check my battery. Oh, sorry guys. So, I'll try to bring you a little closer here. Back to where we were. So as you can see, the overall basic chassis is the same. A few things have been changed, specifically for truck to truck, and that would be like the rear body mount is changed a little bit. The front body mount is changed a little bit as well. Bumpers, little detail things are changed, obviously, to match body to body. But the big things you'll notice right off the bat, different with the 2 of them. Sorry, I don't know, I'm having a hard time focusing, guys. Some of the electronics have changed, and the battery has changed between the 2. First off, the biggest one you'll notice as you get it out of the box is the remote has changed. This is the last variation of the remote that came with the scx24 prior to this truck, prior to the Power Wagon. It's kind of a no-name remote that Horizon makes. I'm sure it's for lack of a better way of putting it, I'm sure it's kind of a ripoff from someone else. Because, well, it's branded Horizon, and the ESC is branded Horizon. Horizon doesn't make any of this stuff, so I don't know whose it is or whose it's a knockoff of. This, I will say, does remind me a lot of the remotes that come with some of the FMS cars. So maybe that's where they got it from. I'm not 100% sure. And while the Spectrum remote they do put with this scx24 is nice, and yes, it will stand up on its own, I do like the feel of this remote better. I don't know. I can't... I think it's because I just like... I like the panel layout here better versus, you know... Because everything's right here versus this one. We've got switches on the back. The button to power it on's on the back. Then we got the trims up here. And unlike the rest of them, this has no extra channels. This one has... This is a 4-channel remote. So this has extra spots for things. No, the other one doesn't. So it's... I'm going to say it's kind of a downgrade in that instance, but I mean it is a name brand remote at least. So I guess technically it's better, although I will say I still like this remote better. From what I can find online, there is no real difference, like power-wise or anything, between these two ESCs. I mean, the switches are in the same spot. The plugs are laid out the same. They're practically the same size. So, and I believe they're both a 10 amp ESC receiver combo. So they're not really... They're not that much different from each other. The batteries, while again they are a new one in the old, or they are a new battery in the Power Wagon. See if I can get it out. When you get them out and look at them, the specs, battery to battery, didn't change. They're both 350 milliamp. They're both a 30C burst. They're both a 2S LiPo. They have the same plugs on them. So really all that changed here is the brand. There could be some little differences like with charging and stuff like that, but realistically they're still the same battery. This is just more of, I would say, something along the lines of Horizon using brands they already own and putting a more name brand name on a part that they didn't really need to do it. Because I mean, yeah, a dynamite pack, a dynamite reaction pack versus a Spectrum battery pack, this probably seems like it's the better battery, but realistically it's no different than this one. They're the same pack. I mean, other than the stickers on opposite sides, you can't physically look at them and find a difference. They're the same thickness. The the plug wiring is just about the same length. They have the same, you know, yeah, I don't see where there's a difference between the two. I could be wrong. Maybe there is more of a difference than I'm seeing. Now, the one thing I did say I wanted to show where I think they did make a big difference is here. What did I do with the other one? Right here, the included chargers. I mean, I'm going to open them both up. Probably have one of the other one already open somewhere, but I don't know where at the moment. And I'll explain why I like the new one a little bit better than the old one for a couple reasons. This right here, this is the old one. This is a Dynamite branded, just very simple USB LiPo charger. It will only charge a 2S. It charges them really slow. While these do work, I never truly recommend using them for long, because a lot of guys have come back to where they've forgotten about their batteries, and this charger's overcharged them to the point of blowing up. A matter of fact, I've actually had that same thing happen to myself with an older pack. it got too imbalanced charging with one of these, and it popped on my old workbench, and I'm surprised it didn't burn the place down. Versus these ones, it comes with the included USB cable that has a USB-C end on one end and a regular USB end on the other, or an adapter for a USB-C to USB-C. So that's nice. The charger itself is drastically different as well. This is a Spectrum item, and I have not heard of anyone having the charging issues with these that they have had with the old Dynamite chargers. My friend at the hobby shop even said that this is a really nice little charger. He's actually started carrying these separately on his wall for sale, compared to, he didn't even like ordering new ones of these, I don't believe. He would recommend just buying the adapters and charging it with your big charger instead of charging it with that at all. So that to me tells me this is not a bad little charger. I have not used one myself, but my understanding is from him that this one will actually shut off. It doesn't overcharge like the old one did. You can plug this directly into your cell phone charger without even changing the cable. And it will charge your battery. This one, you can use your charger block, but that's it. That thing, we all have a USB-C charging cable somewhere in our house, because you have some product somewhere that charges something with it. Whether it be your cell phone or a set of earbuds or literally anything that's not an Apple device, probably uses one of these USB-C cords to charge it. And that was a very smart move on their point, to make it to where it just needs that instead of the charger block. Now, I will say I think it is still kind of a cheap out that they don't include a charger block, so you can actually put power to it. But again, how many of these do we all have laying around our house? I mean, I have 4 or 5 down here alone, not including all the ones we have upstairs. So it's, or the ones we have in our cars. So I understand why they don't. It's not needed, but at the same time, it does still feel kind of like a cheap out. All right. We've yapped all the yapping we're going to do. Let's try driving one of these. We are not going to run this one on there first. We're going to run the green one because this is the one I want to modify. So we're going to run this one first. See how it does in pure stock form, other than maybe the battery, because I don't think I have one of the new batteries charged yet. See how it does on the course, pure stock. And then we'll start throwing some parts at this one and see how big of a difference it makes. So there you have it. That was our first run of the SCX10. Not the SCX10. The scx24 Power Wagon. I don't know if that, guys, showed you more of the limited capabilities of the truck or more of the limited capabilities of my driving. Either way, you saw the limited capabilities of something. I don't know which. Either way, we're going to go from driving the stock one to modifying. Trash everywhere already. Modifying this orange one. We're going to keep it relatively simple because I have learned more mods on my course do not equal better. And there are some very particular mods that I've found help a lot. And in most cases, it is wider axles, front weight, better tires, heavier wheels. That all seems to correct everything and make every truck perform a lot better on my setup. And I specify my setup because my course and other people's courses are not made the same. My course has a lot of actual dirt and real rock versus a lot of other people's has a lot of foam that has been like plaster of Paris, and their surface is almost more grippier than mine, so they can get away with a lot more, it seems, and at work, versus mine has a very mixed surface and it needs different tires for different things, and I've only found one tire that works perfect every time, all the time, and that is the RC four-wheel drive Patagonias. Unfortunately, I think with the wheelbase of this, even though I have a set of Patagonias, I think they're too small for this. I actually, before driving it, had a few different tire ideas in mind, and we're not using either one of them because they're just too small. And they're right here. They are the RC four-wheel drive Rock Creepers. I really like the tread pattern of these, but I've not got to try them in 1/24th scale. I've had decent luck with them in 1/10th though, so they're going to come up on something very soon. I just don't know what. And where's the name of these ones at on them? Here they are. And RC4, or not RC4 drive, I am sorry. J Concepts landmines. The green compound, I don't know what the differences in the compound is. That is not something I am very well versed with, even though I am fairly well versed with trail trucks. That is getting into comp territory, and I'm not that guy. I have been told by a lot of people that these landmines work very, very well. They are a fairly soft tire, a decent sized tire. Honestly, these are about as big of a tire as I normally run on an scx24 height-wise. And I'll be honest with you, I got them because they're a fairly similar pattern to a super swamper. There we go. If you're not being picky, that is. They share more of a, I don't know, probably more of a Mickey Thompson MTZ style pattern. But I've been told these work really well in 1/10th and 1/24th. But given we've already seen we have some ground clearance issues, I've actually narrowed it to 2 other tires. Neither set are on a set of wheels set up the way I would prefer. I'll say it that way, because I had also bought 2 sets of wheels. I bought a set of the silver RC four-wheel drive Stamp Steelies and a black set of RC four-wheel drive Stamp Steelies, but these ones are the round holes, like the 8-hole style, versus these are the more traditional wagon wheel style. The 2 wheels, the 2 tires, I should say, not necessarily wheels, I've kind of settled on that I want to use one of the 2 of, is either A, this old set of RC four-wheel drive Mudslingers, which in this size is kind of similar to a Super Swamper Bogger. They're a very aggressive tire. They work really well on a lot of different surfaces. They do not work very well on the slate, I have found, but they work well on just about everything else. The problem is with these, I would like the wheels reversed. I would like this to be the outside of the wheel and this to be the inside, just to give it a little bit more offset. I may see if I can pull one of them apart and flip them quick. If that works, we'll go with it. If not, I'm going to fight to put the one wheel back together, because I believe I remember these things being a pain to put together. The other set is a set made by Proline on a plastic bead lock. I mean, the design of the bead lock looks good, but it does not have the weight to it that these do. These tires are a Mickey Thompson Baja Pro X. So these are, again, a fairly aggressive tire for me, but the tire size does seem like it's going to fit the Power Wagon better. The design of the wheel actually looks like it's going to look really good on the Power Wagon as well. So I'm not going to go through the hassle of changing the wheels. And I'm honestly more tempted to put these on than these, because I I really think these wheels and tires are going to look better on it and give it more of a off-road look than farm truck with over-exaggerated tires. So these, I think, are going to be our winners for now. I might say that now and then start filming, and then when I get back there and start filming, you guys see these on there. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So that is one of the mods we're doing. The other one being Hot Racing's +4 steel stub axles, front and rear. These make the front of the truck 8 millimeters wider, like this. So they provide a little bit more track width, which I have found in just about every scenario on these helps. That's why normally I like to do these plus these reversed, which gives you a very significant track width upgrade. Now, normally, if you guys have watched me build any 110 scale stuff, I don't try to widen my trucks in 110 scale. But I have found in these little guys, it helps. It helps with a lot with stability. Then our last mod we're going to do, which is a fairly simple one, is we're going to do these +4 brass weights. I believe these things weigh 5 grams each, so it's not a ton of extra weight, and we're only going to put them on the front. I do believe I have enough that if I wanted to, I could do it on all 4, because I have two more sets of axle shafts and another bag of those. I normally only use them on the front, so instead of changing up the way I do things, I'm going to continue to do it that way in this video. So they are not hard upgrades that we're going to do, and they're not expensive upgrades that we're going to do. I mean, the truck was $159. These are $13 for the stub shafts, $10 for the wheel weights, which if you're doing it and you're only doing one truck, you'll probably put all 4 on the same truck. And then these specific wheels and tires were $27. I'm not saying they aren't worth $27. I'm not saying they are worth $27. This is a wait to see. I know these are worth what I paid for them. And to put it in perspective, that these were $27 for wheels and tires from Proline. Just these wheels from RC 4-wheel drive are $27. And then the tires are $9 a pair from RC 4-wheel drive, or $18 for a set of 4, which I guess balances out to the same price, from J Concepts. So one could argue, if you're trying to stay on a budget, that these are definitely the way to go. I know Proline makes some other sets like this with the tires and wheels already mounted. This just happened to be the set that I seen my hobby shop had, and that's what I went with. So for most of what we're doing, we're going to need 2 tools. That is a 4.0 wheel nut wrench and a 0.05 Allen head. That should be all we need to get all of this done. Both steps are stupid simple. We'll start on the easy end first, and that is the back of the truck. The back of the truck, to swap these axle shafts out, is super simple. You just simply take the wheels off. We'll go ahead and we'll take off both of the wheel hexes, set them to the side, as well as the hex pins. Then from there, it's going to be, there are 2 bolts on each side of the axle shaft that we'll have to take off. I wish I had this for my speed wrench here. Matter of fact, hang on here, where is that? I may actually have an 050 in here. because that would make this for the video go much much faster. I in fact do have an 050. Now I would never recommend using any kind of a power tool on any of the screws on these trucks, because they are a fairly fine thread and they're small. So every time you try doing it, you are taking a very big risk of damaging the threads in the plastic housings. I'm going to do it because I know, well, how's the saying go that some of the other YouTubers say? You can do the wrong thing if you know that you're doing the wrong thing. Something along those lines. You can do the wrong thing the right way if you know you're doing the wrong thing. So, you gotta slide the old axle shaft out, take the bearing off of it, and here is the visual difference between the old stub shaft and the new stub shaft. It's not a huge difference, but it is a fairly big one in terms of width for this truck. So slide that on. Now, with that having that big gap between where the forgetting the screws, almost forget the screws again. But there being the now big gap between where the hex pin used to set and where the hex pin sets now, with these axle shafts, they send with them, because they assume you're not buying the 5 gram weights to go with it. They send these little collars. All these little collars do, slide over the axle shaft and take up that gap. So you can then slide your hex pin in, slide the wheel hex on, and now it's eaten up all that gap between the bearing and the wheel hex. So something we didn't talk about earlier is they have a new shock on these that is a much larger diameter than the old ones. I don't know how well I can show you the old ones, but there are the old ones. I don't know how well you guys can see that versus these new ones. These new ones are oil filled. I believe this is something they actually kind of took the idea from Traxxas, and I believe Proline was already making a shock similar to these for the scx24, and since everything's owned by Horizon, they kind of become, they made a cheaper version as standard equipment for this Power Wagon scx24. This is the only one to date to come with these shocks, and from what my understanding is, none of the other models have been updated with the same electronics or same shocks as this truck. So this truck has its own everything in terms of that stuff. So again, so this axle shaft, both axle shafts, have this little lip that the bearing sets on, and then the bearing being put into the axle housing. These screws just catch the outer lip of the bearing, or the outer case of the bearing, however you want to say it, and that's what actually holds the axle shaft in. Is it acts like the bearing retainer and nope. Got it. They act as the bearing retainer and the axle shaft retainer at the same time. So, I believe there's some full-size axles that work the same way. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an axle expert. I know there's several different designs of how axle shafts work and all that stuff. So I'm sure somewhere along the line there's a full-size axle that works the same way. Hex pin in. There we go. And on. That is our back axle widened. Not a lot, but it's enough. Here is our new tire. Is just slightly taller than our old tire. You can see here. Try to set them side by side. As you can see, they're slightly taller. It does appear to maybe be just a touch wider as well. And for all intents and purposes, it is kind of a more aggressive pattern, but not by much. So I believe these are directional. I don't know. I gotta look at all of them to be able to tell. That'd be my luck. I have to take two of them apart to make them all set the right way. Let's see, that one goes... Nope. Yep. Hope I stuck it in the right spot. There we go. One tire on. Now to find the match. That appears to be it. Tread pattern appears to be going the same direction. So, these Mickey Thompson Baja Pros are a directional tire. So, be careful of that when you're putting them on. You don't want to put them on and then have them crisscrossed or anything like that. It can cause weird characteristics. Now, when it tucks the tire does come in contact with the body. But that is just fully using the entire shock compression. We could move the shocks around and either give them a bit more angle or simply move them down a little bit lower to make this set a little taller. That is something I've done on other trucks. Not 100% sure I want to do that right now, because I don't want to make it too top heavy with this body, and it already doesn't fit through the tunnel, so that also creates another issue that these aren't going to help. But they're going to help our problem a little bit of getting hung up in some other places. Alright, enough yapping again. Alright, the front isn't much more difficult than the rear. You actually don't take the entire drive shaft out on the front like you do the rear. All you're taking out of these is the small stub shaft here at the knuckle. There we go. All four of the stock tires are off. I did not know that. These are on bead locks. This is the first one I've ever seen that's an actual bead lock made by Axial. I can put these tires on better wheels. That might be the highlight of the day. I can now put super swampers on other trucks. That is dangerous information. I'm going to be looking for more of these. Oh, all right. What was I doing? Oh yeah, axle shaft. We're going to do these one side at a time because unlike the rear, there are steering components that we don't want to take apart. So we're going to simply, that just makes me so happy. Sorry guys. We're going to undo one side completely at a time by taking out these 2 screws, top and bottom, that hold the knuckle in place, or C-hub, whatever you want to call it. It really depends what how you refer to things. So, and this right here is the part we're changing. We're changing it for this one. As you can see, based on the hole, is significantly longer. So, and that is where we're going to get all of our width extension from. Now, theoretically, this is not, if you were doing this on a full-size truck, this would not be the way to do it, because all you're doing is pushing the center of your wheel out farther, which on a full-size rig would be putting a very significant strain on your wheel bearings and your C-hubs. So you wouldn't want to do this, because 9 times out of 10 things are going to break. Yes, I know I used the tool on the entirety of the back, or I used the gun on the entirety of the back. I don't want to do that on the front because I don't want to over tighten those in there and then the steering not work. So now this is where these come into play. These 5-gram weights, which only adds 10 grams to the front, but I have found on these 10 grams is enough. What these do, as soon as I can get one out, it'll be, I'm sure all of you already know, and it's self-explanatory, but still. This 5-gram weight replaces that spacer. That's all it does. This will not get in the way of the wheel. You still have plenty of room for all that to work. So it's not really a big deal to put it on. What is a big deal though is if you lose some of your stuff. I'll put that on. Then we got to put our pin, our hex pin back in. Which I will say, putting the hex pin back in with these weights on can be a bit of a challenge because, well, they're kind of in the way. So I'm going to just lightly hold that with my wire cutters, because that's what I have handy, and put it through. There we go. Curiosity has me. If I can find the second one of these, and they fit behind these wheels. Sometimes, I think these, yep, I already see it's going to not work. Yep. I got these off of eBay, and I have only found one instance where they work. They do not let enough of the axle shaft poke through, so they don't work like they're intended. You can't bolt a wheel back on once you put them on. I think it worked on the rear of one truck, and that's all it's ever worked on. So, and I think that was a AX24 that I had swapped to a solid rear axle, not a steer rear axle, that I have since, I believe, swapped back. So, all right, let's figure out here which one of these goes on the front. This one goes on this side. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to make sure I put it together the right way the first time and not have to undo things and go back and forth and all that fun stuff. Ooh. Now, something that is easier to do on the front than it is the back is it is very easy to over tighten your front wheels. The back wheels have more room, I guess is the best way to put it, before it shoves the hex into everything and basically locks the wheel up. So when you change your front wheels, make sure you don't over tighten it. I actually got a truck from a guy who he said that the truck did not work anymore. He did some modifications to it and it didn't work right after that, and he didn't want to mess with it no more, so he sold it to me. I got it home. I took one full turn off of both front wheels because he said the front axle didn't work after he'd matter of fact, it was after he did the extended shaft. He said that something was wrong with the front axle. He didn't know what it was, but the truck didn't want to drive anymore. Things were locked up, and he just was fed up with it. I brought it home. I took one full turn off of each front wheel. Truck drove perfectly fine. So, it just goes to show you, he sold me a perfectly good scx24 for, I think it was like 50 bucks. Because he was irritated with the fact that it didn't work. And it was all because he over-tightened the front wheels. I mean, do I feel bad because I feel like I ripped him off? Kinda. But at the same time, he could have made the decision to fix the truck himself. And if he would have took the wheels back off, he would have figured out real quick that that was the problem. Because, like, he even showed me it was locked up by trying to turn the front wheel, and they wouldn't turn. He never took anything back apart, though. So, he didn't realize he did it himself. He thought it was something to do with the shafts. Or the diff went bad. Something. 5-gram weight. Tiny little hex pin. Axle or wheel hex. Wheel. There we go. We're all mounted up, good to go. Now these do come in contact. The big thing we're going to watch for is now they may start coming in contact with the bumper because we have put on a slightly taller tire and we have pushed them out more. So when it turns, it actually has the tire kicked out this way more. So, because I mean, here is our new width versus the standard width of before. So as you can see, it is significantly different. Whereas before, it didn't come anywhere near close to in contact with the front bumper. And now, with no weight on it, it is much, much closer to the edge of that front bumper. That could be solved by trimming the front bumper a little bit. But I don't really want to do that. If I do anything, I like to just remove it altogether and maybe swap it to the Jeep front bumper. For right now, I'm not changing anything else about it, though. I want to leave it the way it is. This is going to probably become my runner, and this one is probably going to get the tow hitch mounted to it and become the tow truck for this. So, yeah. All right. Again, enough of my yapping. let's see how this thing drives. Maybe it'll make me look like I know what I'm doing. I think, is going to be our title screen for this week. That looks pretty good sitting there. All right, I lied. I think this, specifically right about here, is going to be our clip art for this week. So there you guys have it. That is our first run, drive, and light modify of the axial scx24 power wagon. I gotta say, I don't know if it was me getting used to driving it, the mods we did, or maybe you guys will even call it creative editing. I don't know. This did drive better pretty much everywhere than this did, other than on that slate. Those tires did not want to grip on the slate. That's why I had to ease my way up and then burp the throttle to get it to bump over and then pull it the rest of the way up. So that made a big difference. That all being said, I think if you notice, this one wanted to wander a little bit one way or another. I think I have one of my screws just a touch too tight on one of the front knuckles. Until I go back through and mess with it a little bit more, we won't know for sure, but that definitely feels like the case. So it is what it is. They both drove really good. It is hard to make a huge difference on a stock scx24 unless you're basically going to a cage. They just handle very well out of the box for what they are. They drive really well out of the box. They could maybe use a touch more speed, but that's neither here nor there. I clearly don't need it down here. I'm at 50-60% throttle 90% of the time, unless I'm going from spot to spot or I need some wheel speed for stuff like that back there. I don't need a ton of power. So the 2S, the brushed motor, that all is perfect for me. I am kind of curious if I swapped back to the old wheels and tires, the stock ones, if it would still drive better than it does with the Mickey Thompson Baja Pros. Part of me thinks it will because I am very biased toward Super Swampers, but again, that's neither here nor there. That is my personal opinion. Until I swap them, I'll never really know. Excuse me, guys. A heavier front wheel would definitely help no matter what. A little wider track width would probably also still help. On my course, I've got to kind of be careful with track width because there's a few places like back there to cut across over here, going across here and across that bridge, where if you get too wide, you're not going to make it. And that's because they're narrow to start with. I mean, that right there is barely wider than a stock scx24. So when you start talking, you've got +4 shafts and a flipped wheel that makes the stance to where this tire is almost completely out from underneath the truck. You start running the risk of you're just going to fall off of things, and there's nothing you can do about it. I had a buddy down here with a little Jeep that was having that exact issue. Sorry, guys. This is directly below our bird room, and sometimes, especially like after they clean it, like my son was doing at the beginning of the video, it kind of pushes things through the floor, and it chokes me up a little bit. Yeah, sorry. But he was trying to go across here, my buddy was, and he kept falling off. And it was just simply because at the end of the day, he was too wide. We put a different set of, I believe we put a different set of wheels on his one truck, and he went over it just fine after that. It's literally a game of millimeters with these things. So, but all right. That's the end of this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope maybe you learned something. And I think our next video is going to be, we're going to body swap an scx24. We're going to be working with some RCs for a while, specifically with these little guys, because I can do the entire videos down here. It's just so cold outside. Ohio weather sucks right now. So anything I can do down here and not need to go somewhere else to show you the truck running, or be out in the garage freezing myself to death with no heater so I can talk to you guys, it's on the top of my list to do. So yeah, but until then, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Hopefully the weather gets warmed up real soon, because I don't want to keep doing these. I want to be back outside, and I want to get back to the GT6, so, and the MGBs. I want to get that finished. We were so close, and then the weather turned on us and parts weren't here. We'll get to it. Yeah. All right. Those cool little trucks. See you guys next time. Bye. Oh yeah, remember the whole like, share, subscribe, comment, ding the bell. You know the normal thing. Just do that stuff. All right. Bye.